Hey, loosey-goosey chime time. Here we are again.
And thanks to Mark Monopolis for that. We love that name. It works out really well. Welcome to the Air Radio News Broadcast Vlog of the Week. Big Daddy Russ Horton, myself, Lee Lakin, Leah Lywood. Of course, once again coming to you from Lee's Garage. Going to be a hopping place tonight. And we got a beautiful day here in the Halton Hills, Canada, Ontario, and a bunch of news to get through before we get to our trivia.
And we're brought to you by TravelYukon.com, our friends up in Whitehorse, and we'll be telling you more about that later on. Let's go through, see what's happening in the Air Radio Network this week. Patrick Brown alleging political corruption played in a role in his disqualification from the Conservative Party of Canada's leadership race. That's a real shit show now. It's getting more and more interesting as the days go by.
Does anybody remember when the Doug Ford thing came into play, when he was running for the Conservative leadership for Ontario? There was some allegations of sexual misconduct and whatnot, and he got pushed out on that. So this guy's luck is not good.
I'm telling you, he's right in the middle of everything there.
And then to boot, on CP24 the other day when I was homesick, the 4 councillors from Brampton went on and had some very scathing things to say about Patrick Brown, that he's missed a ton of council meetings. He is never available when he needs to be. Many complaints from councillors in Brampton. So they're actually, some of them are actually asking for him to resign.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's getting
it's a shit show.
More and more sorted as we go along.
As we go along on that one. So crazy thing going on.
James
I know.
Caan died,
Yeah, like 82 years old, Oscar nominee for The Godfather. Of course, everybody remembers The Godfather. Believe it or not, it is a movie I've never seen.
Sonny Corleone.
I've only seen clips and bits and pieces.
Sorry.
He was known as the hothead Sonny Corleone and The Godfather, and the television audiences both loved the dying football player in the classic Weeper, Brian's song.
Oh, I remember that movie. That was an excellent movie.
And the casino boss in Las Vegas, and so many other movies. One of the movies
great actors.
One of those movies I remember him in, and it came out just after Brian's song. It was called Rollerball.
Yeah.
Oh my God! What an intense, crazy movie that was, eh?
I think I'm going to go home and watch that tonight. I haven't seen Rollerball in a long time.
That bulk shoots come out. That shoot like, oh man, hits the guy in the head. Oh, it's pretty gruesome, especially for that time.
That's
too.
what,
like,
70, late 70s.
Late 70s. I'd say 77, somewhere in there, I think. So
and of course, the guy with the hair is out on his heels. Boris Johnson announced his resignation Thursday.
Trump's little brother.
Yes, he's got the same hairdo as Trump. Are they related?
Gotta be something.
Look like
they gotta be something there, man.
I always liked Boris. I mean, Boris looks like a happy-go-lucky kind of guy, and
that's what got him into trouble.
Anyway, now, of course, he broke rules of British politics many times
over.
And
50 guys resigned, eh?
Did you hear that Air Canada's #1?
You know, I have a hard time believing that, because I was watching an American news station, and they were showing there was an airport in France that something like 22 flights went out with no luggage. Yeah. 22 flights. They showed the luggage thing in the back. Yeah. It's just stacked, man. It's like, it's happening.
They're pushing them to get them out, and that's the problem.
It's happening all over the world.
They're losing their luggage completely.
Yeah, like it's not even on the plane with you, man. Like,
one guy lost his dog for 21 hours.
Yeah,
couldn't find his dog. That would be hard.
And this is why I say
I
tend to disagree that Pearson's the worst, but it is bad. They're short-staffed. They're, it's.
Well, they're deluged right now too with people.
And the problem, I still put it back to Air Canada being is that, why are you taking these bookings if you can't? You know you cannot provide, and you're still taking the money from these people, taking your time to refund it. Because Todd had to go through it. Him and his family are going to Uganda over Christmas next year. Yeah, very cool trip.
Is Idi Amin still hanging around there?
I'm sure he's.
I think he's gone by now.
I'm sure he's worm food by now. So anyway, he's going there. So 2 airlines have had to cancel on him, and that's still Christmas away, and one of them still has not refunded the money. and he's fighting, and it's just it's happening everywhere in the world. It doesn't matter where you go.
Passport lines are you're all day waiting in line apparently just to get a passport.
Yeah.
And then there's all these issues.
You know, you add all of that to it. You know what? People were coming out of a 2-year pandemic. This shit's going to happen.
Well,
it's going to happen.
Now, you know, you see the Russians and Putin, and you hear, but apparently the one we have to worry about is China. And the heads of the UK and the US...
Always had to worry about China.
That's right, yeah, you have. I mean, you know, now the heads of UK and US security services, they actually got together and met in England regarding this. The FBI director and the MI5 director, James Bond 007.
Sounds like a movie.
It does.
It sounds like a movie.
It does. And I guess if James Bond were real, he would be probably in China or Russia at the moment with his new movie. Because it's they're saying it's not Russia so much as China now. And the whole world's gone mad.
It's gone crazy. Glad to see this story. Ottawa finally reaches a $20 billion child welfare settlement with the First Nations children. Still not enough, but we obviously can't afford much more than that. But there's still some ramifications about this. And something I saw on a news channel the other day about a 101-year-old German guy that got charged with all these Nazi things that went on, you know, in Auschwitz and all of that back in the war. All these charges brought against him. It was like 3,500 charges brought against this guy. How is this not happening to the people that were involved? There's got to be people involved in all these Indigenous children that are buried all across our country illegally in a genocide situation. There has to be still people that were involved in that are still around. The problem is, if you're going to go after those kind of war crimes, why don't you go after the genocide crimes as well?
And the problem is how do you say you're sorry for something like that?
You can't. So, you know, at least you're talking about a decent-sized settlement, $20 billion.
Money doesn't buy it, though.
No, but, you know, it's sad to see nobody getting charged with anything. Like, that's the worst part about it. And again, politics and religion have now come into this little conjoined, consensual, sexual desire to be together that it just gets washed under the carpet, and it pisses me off. Absolutely pisses me off.
There's a sandbox. He hasn't swore yet, though. But he probably will by the end of the show. Looking at some of the stuff coming up. Yeah, there's some juicy stuff here. We had just Ghislaine. Is it Ghislaine or just? It's Ghislaine Maxwell, isn't it? That's how you saw her name, Ghislaine? The one that got charged 20 years in the Jeffrey Epstein sex abuse case. Is it Ghislaine? I think it is Ghislaine. Pretty sure. Yeah, he's the engineer's telling me it is Ghislaine.
It is. There you go.
And, police say that 3 were killed, 3 others in critical condition earlier in the week after the Denmark Mall shooting, of course, and we have to, another one in Chicago. What the hell is going on?
Yeah.
This guy had a music video, for God's sakes. I can't watch it more than a minute. I want to put my fist right through the TV. Because this guy was charged, or not charged, but he had the police come to his home. He was threatening to kill his family, and he went out and bought guns. No problem.
Yeah.
And look what he did. My God. You're never going to get the guns out of the United States. You know why? Because, I'll tell you why. They already have the guns. They're not going to give them up. They're going to hide them. They're always going to be at their fingertips anyway. So changing it now, I guess in a few years will make a difference. But right now, it's not going to make a damn bit of difference. But I hope they do, for God's sakes. I'm glad I live in Canada. God bless the Americans. I love them. But, and it's, there's somebody on the other side of that fence there. Doesn't have any teeth either, by the looks of it there. I don't know who that person is.
Crazy Chester fan.
Oh, Crazy Chester fan. I see.
There we go.
All right. Randy.
Yeah.
Randy.
I know, eh?
Is it Randy?
I saw this story crop up about a year ago. Or no, maybe it was right before COVID. That he was looking for his beloved guitar.
Yeah.
And he's finally been reunited with it. Came
Randy
to an end
Zachman was
Friday
talking
when he
about.
was reunited in Tokyo with his cherished guitar 45 years after it was stolen from a Toronto hotel. And, 45 years, like, that's incredible. And it's just such a cool story. And
Well, he wrote American Woman on that guitar.
on that guitar.
So it means a lot to him.
Yeah.
But can you imagine the musician that had to give it back? Poor guy.
Yeah, actually,
the
from what-
Japanese musician was heartbroken. But
From what I
he came
understand, he
for-
was heartbroken, but he knew it had to go back to
Didn't
him.
Randy give him something?
He gave him a brand new one
Yeah, but you can't.
that was custom made for him.
But you have to understand that was Randy's guitar.
Yeah.
How happy that guy is
Oh,
now.
I saw him talking about it, and you could just see that desire in his face. He knew he was getting it back because it was a couple weeks ago he did this interview, and he was so excited. And you could just see, and it's as we age, you don't think of those giddy little moments. Well, that
Randy
was one of
had a
those.
great radio show on the CBC. I always used to
God,
listen
yeah.
to everything he was saying because he's the guy that lived the life, you know what I mean, of a rock star. And him and Burton are getting back together
Yep.
with this summer.
With the Carpet Frogs as well, and that's cool to see. I love my good friends Jim and the guys in the Carpet Frogs are dynamite.
It's time
band.
for the best part of the show, and that is Leah's Trivia.
Leah's Trivia.
Leah's Trivia, and you see it on Facebook, of course, every day as Leah digs through the mountains of information
July
to bring you.
7th, man.
Yeah, July 7th. All right, what happened on July 7th?
68.
The folk trio Peter, Paul, and Mary appear as the mystery guest on CBS TV's What's My Line? Yeah. Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Great show. 68 again, the Yardbirds disband immediately after a gig in Luton, England. Jimmy Page begins forming what will now be known as the Great Led Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin, I've heard
Led
of
Zeppelin.
them. Were they a band? Yes. In 1957, this is really cool. Paul McCartney, John Lennon meet for the first time at the Village Fete in the Liverpool suburb of Walton, where Lennon's group, the Quarrymen, were performing. And when they meet again, Lennon asks McCartney to join his band. They were at the Garden Fete, 1957. And they were known as the Quarrymen in the early days.
This is the 6th, I think, not the 7th.
Huh? Oh, it says the 7th on here. Probably it was me
No,
that.
today's the 8th.
The
I'm not sure. I don't
Yes,
even know
you're
what
right,
to.
sorry.
One day runs into the next for me.
Pretty much the weekend of the 7th, 8th, 9th,
Yes.
10th.
This
that
is
kind of
really
thing.
cool about the wall, Lee, that you're going to talk about.
Yeah,
here.
this is
And I
cool.
had no idea that the wall had connections with Canada.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So in 1977, performing at the Olympic Stadium in Montreal, and it was the final stop on Pink Floyd's first stadium tour, Roger Waters spits on an unruly fan, extricates the crowd for setting off fireworks, and the experience inspires the next album, The Wall.
And of course,
Good old Montreal for you.
yeah. So we're tied in with the wall. That's amazing.
Yeah, so Waters is performing the gentle acoustic number Pigs on a Wing, but the crowd is more interested in mayhem. The fan who gets a gob in the face is screaming and climbing up the stage. Fireworks are the last straw, and for sakes, stop letting off fireworks and shouting and screaming, Waters says, I'm trying to sing this damn song. After the show, Waters thinks about the barrier that comes between the band and the audience, and he imagines a huge wall, which he explores this disconnect to. So
I had no idea about that. I don't know where you found that one from. But yeah, The Wall, the album The Wall by Pink Floyd has Canadian connections. That's pretty cool. Now here's another cool
not
one.
on a real pleasant note, though. So
You like Grand Funk Railroad?
I love
That's-
Grand Funk Railroad.
My
man.
favorite song by them was Some Kind of Wonderful, I think. But they were such a great band. And in this week in 1969, Grand Funk Railroad, which formed just a few months earlier, played a huge crowd at the Atlanta Pop Festival. And the lead singer, Mark Farner, sheds his shirt because of the heat and gets such a reaction from the crowd that he decides to play every show shirtless. So if you're wondering why Mark was always shirtless, that was why. Is because it was very hot in Atlanta when they first started out, took off his shirt.
And amazing how something so simple just carries on into
Exactly.
something so, 1970, Casey Kasem debuts the radio show American Top 40, where he counts down the Billboard hits The number one song at the time was Mama Told Me Not to Come by Three Dog Night. And he hosted the show until 2004 when Ryan Seacrest took it over.
Well, yeah. And of course, Casey Kasem was, very influential in my life.
Iconic.
I mean,
Yeah,
and you listen to my shows,
he was the Dick Clark of radio.
Yeah, he was.
Really?
And he was...
Casey Kasem.
Keep your eyes on the
welcome
skies.
to the American
Keep
Top
reaching
40.
for the stars. I'm Casey Kasem. Did you ever hear the outtakes of him? When this is ponderous, man. This is ponderous. The whole thing, but uncut, of course.
Yeah.
But you got to understand, and people when they hear that think Casey was an asshole. He was the nicest guy in the world, but you got to understand, in the radio business, when you're in a production room and you're screwing up things and you're tired or whatever, you're going to say things you don't mean. Just like in life, you're in the car by yourself. And all these outtakes are clipped together, but Casey was a wonderful man. I mean, just a delight. But he had a bad day one day, and somebody recorded it, and I got to play that for you sometime.
Yeah,
you never
I'll
heard
have to
that?
check that out.
I've never heard that either.
Casey Kasem. Can you imagine Casey Kasem saying the word
Yeah,
fuck?
because he always had this smiley face type.
Yeah, and he was a wholesome guy, family man, everything else.
It's a good word for it, wholesome,
Yeah, he was wholesome. Like, Casey was a cool guy. And what a voice. Amazing.
Oh, God,
The
yeah.
voice of Shaggy on Scooby-Doo, too. All right, so what else we got here? 1983, the Red Hot Chili Peppers take the stage at the Cat Club in Hollywood. This is a good one. Wearing nothing but socks. Not even on their feet, actually.
Exactly.
The group is on their first tour, so they can't be choosy about the venues. The Kit Kat Club is a strip joint, and the girls dance on stage with the band, so that the figure, let's just say that they're covering their genital area with a sock and performing, and that's just what happened, and that's the truth.
Yep.
And so help me God. But
Tuck it into a sock.
I guess they used to do that in a lot of shows, didn't they?
They've come out in their underwear a lot. I know Flea, the bass player, plays in his tighty whities quite a bit. But and again, that comes down to Buddy with the shirtless, right? They find a gimmick and it works. Well, run with it. My brother-in-law, Dean, who plays with Practically Hip, he did a gig in, I think it was Guelph, and he came out with nothing but his guitar on.
Oh God.
That was it. Butt-ass naked. Even turned around to show everybody a few times.
I mean, no one would notice in Guelph anyway.
Well,
Guelph, right?
So, 1985. I can't believe it was that far back. Back to the Future, starring Michael J. Fox as a time-traveling teenager, opens in theaters. 1985.
Yeah.
When he plays Johnny B. Good at a 1955 The Enchantment Under the Sea dance, he gives birth to rock and roll. And in real life present, a new generation gets a lesson in Chuck Berry from the scene. The movie's theme song, Power of Love by Huey Lewis and the News, was a huge hit.
It's a huge hit and a great movie. Just an iconic movie like American Graffiti.
Pretty much.
It just sticks in your mind, right?
And the following that it has is incredible. Like when you go to Comic-Cons and stuff like that, it's insane the amount of people that follow that. And
But you know what it did more than anything else was it showed the innocence of the 50s and how innocent everybody was back then, because you got to remember he was from the 80s, right? And he was hip 80s kid from 1985, and he's meeting his mom in 1955, and his mom, well, never mind. You know the story, but just an iconic movie, and the two of them together, and it's inspired me with the things I've done with the Top 40 timeline, because Gary and I, when we used to do it at the McGibbon Hotel, we always used to say the clock tower down the street that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And we're coming to you live and direct from the rear parking lot of the Royal Bank, just up the street from the clock tower. It doesn't work. So the Top 40 timeline kind of, and then we got the DeLorean going and stuff. So it did influence me in many ways, and just a wonderful movie. Like American Graffiti, a movie I could just jump into.
Yeah.
You ever have those movies you could just jump into? They're larger than life, and most of them didn't cost a lot of money. Really.
Not then.
So what else is going on
62.
here? 1962. Jimi Hendrix honorably discharged from the Army after serving a little over a year
I love this
of
term.
his 3-year commitment. The reason for his discharge is unsuitability.
I love that
As his
term.
superiors agree, he will never be a good soldier, in part because he's more interested in his guitar than his rifle. Well, that's true. But,
Unsuitability.
Jimmy
Good word.
tried. Jimmy tried.
Hey, he did. He tried to do his part.
God bless
Yeah.
him. But when I first saw that story come up a couple of months ago,
A couple of weeks ago.
A week
ago.
Yeah. No, but we brought this up before about Hendrix.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was the date that he went in the Army. But I had no idea until Leah dug that up that he was even in the Army.
Yeah.
I just thought he was a kid from Seattle that grew up playing rock and roll and guitar, man.
Playing it very
You
well.
tried.
All right, Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, 1991, Guns N' Roses show in St. Louis at the St. Louis concert. During the song Rocket Queen, Guns N' Roses singer Axl Rose is distracted by an audience member taking photographs and dives into the audience to confront him. Ever since two fans were crushed to death at a Monsters of Rock show in the UK in 1988, Rose has made a habit of stopping shows to tackle unruly fans. He is frustrated at the failure of security to confiscate the fans' contraband camera, and asking them 4 times, he decided to take matters into his own hand. After being dragged away and returned to the stage by the security guards, he declares, "Thanks to the lame-ass security, I'm going home," throws down his microphone and storms off like a child.
Big mistake.
The audience is furious and a riot ensues. The band's equipment is destroyed, 60 people are injured, and there is over $200,000 worth of damage. Guns N' Roses are banned from playing the city, and Rose is charged with inciting a riot, but the band's ongoing world tour takes over a year for him to be arrested. When he finally appears in court, he is cleared by the judge of any wrongdoing. Yeah.
Well,
What are they going to do, right?
he was stupid to jump in the crowd, though.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, he's an idiot.
For
Oh,
doing
the
that.
guy's a tool. I've always thought that. I saw them with the Cult with my brother-in-law. God, when the hell was that? The late 80s. And they got booed off the stage.
Really?
Third song in. Boo. Cult had to come back out and finish the show.
You know,
They were horrible.
They even booed Hendrix when he opened for the Monkees. For God's sakes,
Well,
they didn't know what they were dealing with.
God, no.
You know,
Wrong
this is
act to be
Jimi
opening.
Hendrix, you
Yeah.
know. Well,
But I think that was more about the Monkees than it was
yeah. Well,
Hendrix
the
at that
Monkees,
point.
the
Monkees
audience,
didn't have a great following on live shows.
the audience were into the pop rock, and Jimmy was the FM side of things. You know what I mean?
Good way of putting it.
And
FM
he
side
was
of things.
Very much
let's just
so.
say that Jimmy was way ahead of his time. I mean, you know, I'm a big fan of Jimi Hendrix, always have been. I have his T-shirt, for God's sakes. And this week in 1979, my waistline thanks the Sony Corporation. I'll read it like Casey Kasem. The Sony Walkman debuts in Japan, making music portable. Sony's co-founder Masaru Ibuku liked to listen to music on his music trips and was overwhelmed by the company's array of bulky electronics. So along came the Sony Walkman. There you go, Casey. God bless
And
you.
then the
wherever you
disc
are.
band. And then the...
Yeah, the disc man. Remember, did you ever walk? Everybody had a Walkman, right?
Yeah.
Mine was
the
a big
MP3
black
player.
one. I used to put it in my pocket and go for a walk with my dogs. And,
I think I had every stage. Grade
Yeah.
7, I had the ghetto.
yeah.
I'd listen to outside in Stewarttown.
Did
I
you actually
brought
have a
this
ghetto
radio.
blaster that
I
you
did.
carried
Oh, God,
around?
yeah.
And I brought
Oh,
it
how-
to school, and we listened to it sitting
The-
in
the-
the
the boom
on the
box.
part- on the
For the other people, the boom box.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. But every time it changed, whether it was the Walkman or into the CD player, whatever it was, I had it.
Well, in the 60s, it was the transistor. They used to take that to the beach.
I had that
right?
too when I was about
Yeah.
4. I used to sit
Transistor.
with
And it used to have, you remember Carlin's bit on the radio down,
Yeah.
you know that one? And I remember transistor radios, they're very, you have to be
Oh,
very,
yeah, you're very pinpoint.
It's like
Or it was-
6,
it was on the side.
8,
Right, that's mine.
10, and the hopelessness of 16.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they were all so tight together, and you had to really, but that's what we did in the 60s.
Yep.
I'm pretty old. I remember the 60s.
My first transistor, I was 4 years old, and I listened to Chum AM on my first transistor radio in a black leather case.
Memory of Princess Diana.
Yeah, 2007, Princess Diana, of course, Princess of Wales. A concert's held in the newly built Wembley Stadium in London. Acts include friends of the princess like Duran Duran, Elton John, as well as artists she enjoyed such as Nelly Furtado, Tom Jones, and Kanye West.
Kanye West.
That surprises me a little bit.
I
but
really
I'm not,
don't like Conway's stuff that much.
I don't really like the guy at all.
No,
like
I mean, the guy's an idiot.
Talk
too.
about a flake.
But I guess the way you look at somebody, how you feel about them, is the way you listen to their music. Too.
Pretty much, I think, it's...
And it's not just that. Chance, maybe because of the way he was.
Just some of the stupid statements the guy comes out. The stuff that comes out of his mouth.
When he was at the music awards and what's her name?
I'm bigger and better than Led Zeppelin. Come on, dude. Like,
buddy,
the fact you even make that statement shows how much of a dick you are. So
yeah. All right. This week, of course, we're brought to you by Yukon, TravelYukon.com. It's a beautiful province. If you're somewhere in the world and you want to see the wilderness and come face to face with a grizzly bear,
been there, and it is absolutely gorgeous.
And you discover what makes the Yukon unlike any other place in the world, capturing the hearts and imagination of travelers from around the world. And if you want more information, just go to TravelYukon.com, and we'll tell you about a few little places that you can check out. Like I'll let you take over in a sec. The Kluane National Park, for instance, absolutely beautiful, home to Canada's highest peak. It's the largest ice field in North America and most genetically diverse grizzly population. And you have to be
keep
careful.
that in mind.
You have to be careful because there's I have said this before. Brown bears and grizzlies are different in many ways, and a brown bear will chase you up a tree and eat you, and a grizzly bear will wait patiently at the bottom for you to come down.
Days.
Very patiently.
They're very patient, by the way, and but I'll tell you, the Yukon is wonderful.
And some of the places you can check out up there when you're in Whitehorse Area Transportation Museum, the Yukon Wildlife Preserve.
That's cool.
Yeah, that would be very cool. Black Mike's Gold Mine and the SS Klondike, also known. It's a National Historic Site.
Absolutely.
The Klondike was very key to the economic success of that part of the world.
And small little, you got to remember, Canada is made up, just like every other country in the world, of small little towns, and that's where the interesting stuff is. Just ask Leah. She turns over. You're raking the leaves. You go to Whitehorse, Dawson City, of course, is just, it's like walking back in time.
Oh, God, yeah.
Dawson City.
But
there's little places like Faro in the town. And go for a drive. I mean, the Yukon is big, but you could do it in a couple of days, 2 or 3 days. And just pull the car over and admire the scenery.
Oh, yeah. We have a beautiful country here, man.
And the mountains and just
I've been fortunate to drive across this country several times, fly across it a billion times. And I've got to see some I traveled in the U.S. a lot as well, so it was interesting to see the vast differences when you travel between the two countries, considering we're still at the same continent, but very different, because we're that vast, wide open space. We have 10 times less the population they have.
And of course, black flies the size of small children.
They just pick you up.
Very, very large black flies. That's because of the humidity. And the Arctic over the last week is a real heat wave. Norman Wells was 33 yesterday.
Wow.
33 Celsius in Norman Wells.
That's incredible.
And have you ever been to Norman Wells' house, by the way? He lives in Norman Wells, from what I hear. But never mind. All right. Well, how are we doing for time, sweetheart? We are
almost 29 minutes.
29 minutes. We should talk about our radio. And
we got a couple stations that the Air Radio News goes across. All three of them it goes across. So you basically, FM 108.ca or 50, 60, 70 station. Great oldie station with tons of cool programs throughout the show and just tons of good music in general. And we broadcast our Air Radio News through that as well, along with GTA.
Radio GTA is a freeform radio station. I built it based on the work of David Marsden and radio pioneers that where you have a format. We don't really have a format on GTA. We just play cool tunes.
Yeah.
And we play from every genre. So I've heard so many people say they love country music, but not too much.
Not all the time.
So I really love country music, and I always have, because country basically is old rock and roll. And but I listen to it on GTA and on FM 108. We play the old country too, mixed in with the pop and the rock, just like radio stations used to do in the 70s and the 60s. You know, you used to hear a Kenny Rogers song, but you'd also hear Aerosmith.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the way our radio is. I find when you listen to stations that are one format, that it all seems to blend into it, and it doesn't stand out as much as it does when you're playing
Well, it becomes very repetitive at some
Well,
point.
yeah,
too,
classic
so.
rock. You go into an Aerosmith, and when you hear a song on our station, it sticks out more because we're mixing everything together.
Yeah.
And we have such a huge playlist, and we have Don Cherry, of course. God bless him.
Yep.
It's so nice. I've had so many emails saying, "We love you, Don. Please let Don know." And I've let Tim know. Everyone that's let me know. He
Yeah.
just, and when you hear Don tell his stories,
Oh,
no
God,
one
yeah.
can tell his stories like Don Cherry. That's why Hockey Night in Canada and another asshole over there at Hockey Night in Canada are getting cut back. I'm really sorry about that. But
we are very proud to have our true Canadian guy on there, Don
the guy
Cherry,
that should never have left the airwaves, and he still
Well.
stands by what he said, by the way, because
Yep.
he didn't say anything wrong. He's
Exactly.
old school. Anyway, I'm not going to tell that story anymore. But I love Don.
Yep.
Don Cherry. You know, he's a part of Canadian culture. He's like the Mountie. Don Cherry, the Mountie,
Yeah.
the Beachcombers. You know, it's
Beaver.
Canadiana. Tim Hortons, it's Canadiana, and he is Canadian.
Danger Bay.
And
The littlest hobo.
that's right. Oh, here we go now. What was his name on Beachcombers?
Bruno Gerussi.
Yeah, Bruno Gerussi.
He used to do a cooking show on
Yes,
TV.
yeah.
Well, my dad and his girlfriend at the time, they were the producers of that show.
Yeah.
So we used to go down there as kids, and he'd cook up all this food. It was dynamite, man.
We got time just for a few secs. Remember King of Kensington?
Oh God, yeah.
Trouble with Tracy? Oh, that's getting old. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't remember that
It
one.
was
no.
Channel 9 used to have that show on. Frank
Well, you figure
Crox's wife.
here, growing up as kids, one of the only channels we could get was CBC, and that's all
Forest
you
Rangers.
got.
You guys remember
Forest
the Forest
Rangers,
Rangers?
yeah.
Hang on. Da, 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 da,
Roger
da,
Ramjet.
da, 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 da. I had to do that once.
Roger Ramjet.
Oh my God.
Do you remember it now?
Roger Ramjet,
Oh,
he's our
God.
man, hero of our nation.
Nation.
For his adventures,
I don't
please
remember
be
the
sure,
lyrics.
stay tuned to the station.
Now, Roger
He used to
Ramjet.
take the proton pill.
Yeah.
Oh, what's he taking there, man? I want one of those.
Roger Ramjet always looked like Brian Mulroney.
Yeah.
I think that Brian Mulroney was actually Roger Ramjet.
Ramjet.
You know why? Because of the
so.
dimple in the chin and the hero of our nation. It
Nation.
was a dead
That was
giveaway.
great.
It was. We want to thank you
Canadian in our
all for
minds.
tuning in to our Loosey Goosey show here on the Air Radio News Vlog. Big Daddy Russ Horton, I'm Lee Lake and Leah Lyowood. Have yourself a great weekend, man. It's going to be very good. We've got our marshmallow strawberries with nutritional value.
That's right. Joe's Tasty
And no
Travels.
nutrition.
No nutrition whatsoever, but they've got the nutrition facts.
They don't
on
have
them.
any nutrition at all in here. You know,
No.
if we got stranded on a desert island with these, we would be dead.
You better eat the seaweed. It's
they are
healthy.
so good, man. I'll tell you. And TravelYukon.com. Thank you very much for sponsoring our show this week, and we're so happy to talk about the Yukon.
What's your slogan, man?
Uh,
It's rubbed away on you.
Oh, I'm not going to be able to remember it. Let's just say that
I can't
we're
remember
from
it.
Canada's hometown, Halton Hills, Canada, and we are Canada's hometown because we were voted Canada's hometown.
The most
recently.
flags.
Most
Most
flags.
flags.
So, and of course, we have our radio stations streaming from Halton Hills, Canada, proudly to the world. Come and see the Yukon. Listen to our radio stations. Eat your vegetables. Anything else?
Yeah, don't pick your nose in public.
No.
So
Try and stay away from that.
I can't remember the slogan, so
Oh no, I can't remember. Do you remember it?
Not right now.
yeah.
Well, you know why? Because it's smudged out on my thing here.
I think we better address that.
Yeah, she's mad.
Community worldwide.
No, she's sore. She's been going to the gym, so.
Now. Yeah, she's sore today. She's
All right, from all of us here at Air Radio News, we want to thank you again for tuning in. Have yourself a great weekend. Don't drink and drive. Be safe out there, everybody, and we'll catch you on the B side.
and Coke he's got in there, You wouldn't believe what's in my coffee here.
Chime.
Oh, my
Loosey
time.
goosey chime
Yes.
time.
God, she's gonna nail me. As soon as the mic goes off, she's gonna be over here like Like
You're gonna
flies
get the
on
shoe.
shit.
You're gonna get the shoe across the room and whack you in the head, right off the
Well,
melon.
you figure if it happens, at least he'll remember next time.
Right off the melon. That's
You
not
know how I know
necessarily
it was in
true.
shit is when she said, "Well, we're going to have to address that."
Yeah.
Bye, folks. I'm going to get my lumps now. Here she comes. She coming?
No, not the face, not the face. Oh no, Mr. Bill. Oh no, Mr.